So upon hearing the loud roar of the march of goddess Lalita and the Shaktisena, her army, the demon Bhandasura and those who were with him became terrified, and the great and powerful city of Bhandasura, started to be filled with smoke and cracks from earthquakes that were caused by the loud and powerful movement of the chariots of the goddesses. Their once golden and radiant city became dirty and filled with smoke. The women living in the city of demons began to lose their golden ornaments and jewelry. Every house and building of Bhandasura's kingdom became filled with the harsh and loud screams and voices of evil spirits, goblins, and demons. Meteors fell from the sky, skulls fell to the ground, and blood tainted every statue and altar there. However, despite these calamities and tragedies, the demon Bhandasura remained unmoved, and instead he sat on his golden throne and placed his golden crown, bedecked with jewels, and having his brothers serve him. Despite his evil nature, he radiated like the sun's rays, and the brothers of Bhandasura were known to have defeated the gods and conquered the three worlds, right? And these brothers were serving Bhandasura. And in his ego, Vishukra, Bhandasura's younger brother, began to boast about how the powerful gods Brahma, Vishnu, and even Shiva were scared and were cowards, and that the gods were defeated because they threw themselves in a fire, and from the fire emerged a lady. And he also thought it was a joke that weak women, referring to the army of goddesses, could defeat such powerful asuras or demons like them. And he said, despite the fact that we are endowed with such great valor and such powerful weapons, a mere woman is rushing against us to conquer us. Although she is merely a woman, she should never be thought of lightly. Even an insignificant enemy should not be condemned by those who are desirous of victory and confident in themselves. Hence, servants should be dispatched to drive her out. That proud and puffed up woman should be brought, dragging her by her hairs. O Lord, that wicked woman shall after some time take up the work of a slave unto the fawn-eyed ladies staying in your harem. So this younger brother of Bhandasura is basically saying that it was a joke and even an embarrassment that a woman was fighting against them, and he wanted to defeat her and considered her a slave for Bhandasura. Vishanga, the other younger brother of Bhandasura, was more calculated and perhaps even more intelligent than his other impulsive brother, and he advised Bhandasura caution and even planned out how each action in the battlefield should be thought of carefully. He even gave the idea to send spies to Lalita's army to gather information on their weaknesses. He said, indifference or disregard in the case of enemies should not be indulged in by kings, thinking them to be mere animals or women or insignificant ones. It is sure that power exists in everyone. So he knew the power of Shakti and reminded Bhandasura of how his demon ancestors, such as Mahishasura and Shumba Nishumba, were defeated by a goddess named Durga and the goddess Chamunda or Kali. And yeah, he was basically telling him, do not underestimate her. And he was even questioning, where does Lalita Tripura Sundari come from? What is her origin? In order to defeat her, we must find out what her origin is. However, the demon Bhandasura spoke, and he said, why worry about them when they have powerful soldiers in their army? Why be afraid of women? Well, do I have news for you, buddy? Anyway, he then informed that he had already sent spies to Lalita's army to gather information, and he said, a certain woman having the name Lalita originated from fire. True to her name, she is soft and delicate like a flower. There is no strength, no vigor and experience or wisdom in affairs connected with war. Did she not create from herself a group of women really non-existent due to the power of her Maya? It is on account of this that she exerts herself like this. Basically saying that she has no power and that she was weak. And Bhandasura boasts by saying, by whom can Banda, whose greatness surpasses that of the three worlds, be defeated? Even now, the heaven dwellers are incompetent even to breathe because they are perplexed and bewildered due to the pressure of my powerful arms. And Bhandasura believes that the gods are in hiding because of him, and that, quote, foolish ladies do not know anything. In vain do they imagine that they are bold and adventurous. Confused in regard to right and wrong actions, they become victims of ruin. He then brags about having hundreds of powerful sons and generals who can turn their enemies into ashes and crush them in battle. Bhandasura then orders to mobilize his army forward into battle and securing the fortresses, and he then ordered that if defeated, Lalita Tripura Sundari should be dragged by her hair, and as soon as the soldiers were preparing for battle, the drums of victory from Lalita's chariots began to sound very loudly that the demons' ears began to hurt. As a response to the war drums of Lalita's army, the asuras, or the demons, sounded their war drums, which deafened the world and caused the mountains to tremble. Its drums resembled a terrifying and harsh sound, similar to that of the roar of Narasimha, which is an avatar of Lord Vishnu. Some demon soldiers covered themselves in gems and jewels of many colors that shone like a bright mountain. Some waved glistening swords that were as brilliant as Kalaratri, the goddess of the night and of destruction. They had many terrible weapons and many types of arrows, daggers, maces, clubs, and other dangerous weapons. They had many animals as their vehicles, such as horses, elephants, donkeys, wolves, tigers, birds, boars, snakes, beasts, and ghosts, also known as agoras. They marched forward with fury towards Lalita Tripura Sundari in their minds. The demon Bhandasura sends a Danava. A Danava is a demon, right? But is actually a descendant of sage Kashyap and his second wife, Danu. Anyway, Bhandasura sends this demon named Durmada into the battlefield, along with hundreds of thousands of soldiers in his army. Durmada was the general of the Bhandasura's army, and he and his soldiers, who had the strength of lions, moved towards Lalita Devi to attack her. Meanwhile, in Bhandasura's kingdom, the commander of Bhandasura's army named Kutilaksha sends Talajanga and an army to the eastern side of the city to protect it. At the southern side of Bhandasura's city, he sends Talabuja. At the west, he sends Talagriva. And at the north, he sends Talaketu. These are all powerful daityas. And daityas, again, are demons, but they are descendants of sage Kashyap and his wife Diti. The commander of Bhandasura named Kutilaksha then sent many armies to surround the city in a circle to defend it. After he completed his defense tactics, he reported to Bhandasura and went back to his duties. Durmada's army, which is the general that Bhandasura's commander dispatched onto the battlefield, Durmada's army was battling the Shaktis, or the goddesses, whose laughter was loud and their swords bright, and the sounds of their weapons clashing caused the three worlds to become agitated, and the dust from their clashing began to fill the entire battlefield. And seeing that the demon Durmada was headed towards Lalita, the goddess Sampatsarasvati ran towards him. Along with her, many horses and elephants crushed the demon army. The noise from the fight became so loud that the war drums also began to sound louder. Thousands of demons were killed and their blood stained the entire battlefield. Heads of the demons rolled onto the battlefield and headless corpses fell to the ground. The army of the goddess Sampatkari and the Shaktis became furious that they crushed the entire army of the demon Durmada and began to cut their heads with their swords. And the demons' bodies laid on the battlefield lifeless. And furious that his army was destroyed, the demon Durmada marched forward on a camel to end the Shakti army. He encouraged the army left of the demons to fight against the goddesses. Then the demons surrounded Sampatkari's army and were struck with thousands of arrows that they froze. In anger with eyes red, Sampadambika marches forward on an elephant and struck the army with powerful arrows. The demon Durmada striked back with powerful arrows, and their exchange of arrows caused darkness from many flames thrown at each other. Sampatkari's elephant crushed Durmada's army with his trunk and feet. And furious at seeing his army defeated, the demon Durmada strikes an arrow at Sampatkari's crown and knocks a gem off of it. And in her fury, the goddess Sampatkari strikes arrows at Durmada's chest, and he gives up and falls to his death defeated. Any of his soldiers either got killed by the goddesses or fled in fear. In her victory, Sampatkari's army roared loudly. Bhandasura witnesses this and cannot believe that a weak woman could defeat a demon such as Durmada. He then orders his commander-in-chief Kutilaksha to send Durmada's elder brother named Kuranda, who was a general. And in his grief and anger that he has now lost his younger brother, Kuranda sets out to attack the goddess Sampatkari and her army. He then sends thousands of arrows from his dreadful bow at her and her army. He then taunts her by saying, "O sinful woman, you have killed my younger brother, Durmada, who was justifiably proud of his ability in war. I shall now and here dispatch you to the city of death. My demonesses will drink the blood from your body after you die." The goddess Chanti sees this and approaches the goddess Sampatkari, requesting to defeat Kuranda and his army. Sampatkari, giving a pleasant smile, retreats back to the chariot, letting Chandika or Chandi Devi fight with Kuranda. The army of the goddess Chandi mounted powerful and intelligent horses while fighting the army of Kuranda. The goddess Chandi was mounted upon the speedy and powerful horse Aparajita and showered Kuranda and his army with her golden jeweled arrows. Likewise, the demon Kuranda showered arrows towards her and her army from his powerful bow. The powerful horse Aparajita begins to neigh loudly, which sounded like the sound of destruction, which caused many demons to faint from the loud sound. It then speedily went towards the army of demons and crushed them with his hooves. The goddess Chandi revealed her divine weapon noose and bounded Kuranda's army. Kuranda, now furious that his army was defeated, destroyed the goddess's jeweled bow with his arrows. Furious, the goddess struck his chest with her goad, making Kuranda fall down as if a tree had been struck by lightning. An army that emerged from her goad drank his blood dry and then left. On hearing the defeat of Kuranda, Bhandasura sighed, and he said, "Kuranda and Durmada have been very mighty brothers. The power of this wicked, fraudulent female slave is greater than we expected." Bhandasura then orders his commander Kutilaksha to send his 5 great generals, starting with the demon general Karanka with hundreds of armies. The armies, horses, elephants, and chariots moved and marched towards with such fury that their screams caused a loud rumble and covered the entire battlefield in darkness, with dust rushing towards Lalita Devi. The demon general Karanka created a Maya, also known as an illusionary demoness, named Sarpini. Sarpini was a sorceress described to have smoke-colored skin and lips. The hollow of her belly was as huge and extensive as a great ocean. Sarpini moved ahead in battle, frightening the minds of the Shaktis. She was like another vicious Kadru, being the source of origin of many serpents of magical bodies. She had many serpents as her ornaments, rolling on the ground at the front line of the generals. She made many sinful movements and screamed dreadfully. Then the battle between the Shaktis and the demons begins. The 5 demon generals, led by Karanka, along with their armies, became intense and dreadful as their swords clashed with one another. Arrows pierced each other, leaving no gaps between them. There were so many blood streams that elephants were carried away by them. The battlefield was filled with dead bodies, and the demons which were slain were headless, yet flowing with blood. The dust of the battlefield clouded the sky into darkness, and Sarpini, the evil sorceress, created serpents from her body. She created serpents from her ear, mouth, hair, and her other body parts. These serpents had many deadly poisons and had the ability to burn their enemies. These serpents bit the Shaktis, the goddesses, as they fought, leaving them confused and vulnerable. The Shaktis began to cut the serpents, but they kept regenerating over and over again. The serpents began to light the bodies of the Shaktis with poisonous fires, leaving them confused and bewildered. Taking advantage of their vulnerable state, the 5 demon generals began to defeat some of the goddesses. Karanka stole a chariot with hundreds of donkeys and smashes an army of goddesses with a discus. The 2nd demon general, named Vajradanta, rode a camel and shot arrows at the Shaktis. The 3rd demon general, named Vajramuka, rode a donkey and pierced the Shaktis with his spear. The 4th demon general, named Vajradanta, rode in a chariot with 2 vultures and began to fight with arrows. Sarpini, the evil sorceress, created thousands upon thousands of serpents in this battle. Upon seeing the army of Shaktis being defeated, the goddess Nakuli, the goddess of the mongooses, became furious. She mounted the vehicle of Lord Vishnu, named Garuda, and moved ahead in the battlefield and sent her army towards the serpent sorceress Sarpini. Upon seeing Sarpini, the goddess Nakuli's eyes became red in anger, and she opened her mouth. From her 32 pearly white teeth, 32,000 golden mongooses emerged. These mongooses slaughtered the sorceress Sarpini with their teeth and drank her poison to neutralize it. Then they jumped onto the serpents and bit them with their teeth. Suddenly, with the help of Garuda, the goddess Nakuli shoots an arrow at Sarpini's body and makes her Maya or illusion disappear. Seeing Sarpini defeated, the demon generals shot many weapons at the goddess Nakuli, who was mounted on Garuda. She then threw spears and sharp weapons at the demon generals. She then bit them in many parts of their bodies. Her army of mongooses followed her lead and began to bite the army of the generals. Some of the enemy soldiers' bodies were bit and torn apart. Some had entered their bodies to destroy them. Karanka, the main demon general of the 5 generals sent by Bhandasura, became angry that his generals and armies were defeated. Then the soldiers and other generals of the demons began shooting arrows at the mongooses. Then the mongooses sent fire from their mouths, destroying the arrows. However, the arrows of the demons slaughtered the army of mongooses, and the bodies surrounded the goddess Nakuli. The goddess Nakuli then became furious, and she took out her weapon and launched it from her bow, which was made of fire, with the help of Garuda. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands of mongooses emerged from the weapon, and they were as quick and powerful and dreadful as thunderbolts. They immediately gnashed at the demon armies with their teeth and defeated them, leaving behind the demon generals. While seated on the eagle Garuda, the goddess Nakuli chopped off the heads of the generals with her spear. Upon seeing how easily she defeated the demon generals, the demon soldiers who survived became scared and sought refuge in the goddess. The goddess Nakuli smiled with mercy and sent them to deliver the news of the defeat of the 5 demon generals to Bhandasura. On hearing the news of his 5 demon generals being defeated, Bhandasura sighed and told his commander-in-chief Gutilaksha to send his 7 generals along with a powerful chief general named Balahaka. They use the power of Maya illusion and are considered victorious. And these generals were named Balahaka, Suchimuka, Falamuka, Vikarna, Vikatanana, Karalaksha, and Karataka. Along with these 7 generals, led by Balahaka, they dispatched thousands of demon soldiers along with the generals. As they marched onto the battlefield, their army was terrible and barbaric, and their steps pressed down against the earth. They drank up every drop of the oceans, and many war drums resounded as they made their presence in the battlefield. These demon generals were known to conquer the 7 worlds, and were known to be very powerful. In their fury, the 7 brothers and their armies marched towards the Shaktis and screamed very loudly. Their dreadful screams began to shake the 10 directions. The army of Shaktis began to get ready as the demons taunted them by saying, come on, O wicked, sinful base woman. By adopting the Maya tricks, you delude only stupid fellows. We shall send you all today to the abode of the god of death by means of our terrific arrows resembling hissing serpents. As soon as they said that, one Shakti cut the head of a demon with a spear. His head oozed and spread with blood, while vultures circled around the body and ate it. Another Shakti shot an arrow at a javelin, which belonged to a demon, and that same arrow killed him too. A Shakti on an elephant trained it to crush demons, and it stepped on the chest of a demon. Another Shakti struck an elephant which was ridden by a demon, killing both the elephant and the demon. One Shakti used a discus to cut a demon's bow into 2. One Shakti had a dagger and shot arrows to eliminate demons. Another Shakti used her mace to smash the chariot of the enemy and sat on it. With a fierce sword, a Shakti cut off the pole of the chariot of a powerful demon. And the Shaktis and the demons marched towards each other and fought to the point where you cannot distinguish them both separately. They became confused as they fought, not knowing who to fight. The demon general Balahaka mounted a vulture named Samharagupta, which was as powerful as lightning and was born from a fire. It shrieked and made terrible sounds. With its beak, it swallowed soldiers from the army. The demon general Suchimuka rode a crow that was as sharp as a needle. It smashed the army of Shaktis by pecking them with its beak. The demon general Falamuka rode a crane. Vikarna rode the Berunda bird. Vikatanana rode a rooster. Karalaksha rode a ghost and marched into battle with his battle cry. Karataka rode an evil spirit who possessed dead corpses into battle, who then smashed the Shakti armies. These 7 generals had obtained a boon from the sun god, also known as Suryadev, due to their penance. They asked that they be given a power that burned their enemies with their eyes, and using this boon, the 7 demon generals shone upon the Shaktis, causing the goddesses to stop fighting and freeze. The light from the demons' eyes was so powerful, so bright, that it burned the Shaktis and froze them into place. The Shaktis, unable to move or even fight, sought refuge in the goddess Lalita. The goddess Lalita then sent the goddess Tiraksha Ranika, who was the bodyguard of the goddess Varahi, the commander-in-chief. The goddess Tiraksha Ranika was described to be dark-complexioned, had great magical powers. She has a powerful bow and had many dark-colored horses. She then took up her bow and she shot arrows at the demons as if they were serpents. The demon general Balahaka was smashed by her dark arrows, which made the 7 demon brothers extremely angry, and at the command of Varahi Devi, the goddess Tiraskarini then used a weapon that blinded the demon generals. With her arrows, she blinded them all until they could not see a thing. She then killed the demon Balahaka by dragging him by the hair and cutting him with a sword. She then went to the demon Suchimuka and cut his head and the other brother's head with her spear. At her victory, the goddess Tiraskarini was given a garland. In their fury, the Shakti armies defeated the rest of the demon armies, led by these 7 generals. Those who were left alive sought refuge in the goddesses and praised the goddess Varahi and Lalita Devi. Bhandasura, once again, became frustrated at hearing the defeat of his generals by the means of the Shaktis. He then began to consult with his ministers. Bhandasura then plans for a way to do a surprise attack on Sri Lalita and attack her from behind and capture her. He then sends Vishanga, his younger brother, into the battlefield along with 15 demon generals with great experience in battle and 15 armies. Bhandasura commanded that she be attacked from behind the chariot, since there were not many Shaktis protecting from that side of the chariot. When Vishanga does so, he should kill Lalita Devi, as she is the root of all the Shaktis. Bhandasura then commands Vishanga to move in secret at night. Before Vishanga can do so, the sun rises. However, an overwhelming and powerful darkness envelops the entire universe. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Vishanga and his 15 generals wear dark-colored clothes and move stealthily and quietly like ninjas. Eventually, they find Lalita Devi, and Vishanga sees her sitting and smiling under a white umbrella studded with pearls, attended by her Nitya Devis. She was as radiant as 1,000 suns, and her face was joyful. However, the demon Vishanga is wicked, and despite seeing her beauty, decides to attack Lalita's chariot from the back. Suddenly, they attack the Shaktis with many weapons, almost sounding as if lightning and thunder were striking and clashing one another. Before anyone could stop them, the demons were already at the 9th step of the chariot of Lalita Devi. The Shaktis struggled since the darkness of the demon armies made it impossible to attack them and impossible to see them. And the demons also used invisible weapons to attack them, making it impossible to fight them. And hearing this, Lalita Devi becomes furious. While this secret attack was happening, however, Bhandasura sent his commander-in-chief, Kutilaksha, to fight in the battlefield to distract the other Shakti armies. And he did so that they would not be able to hear that Lalita's chariot was being attacked, because when Kutilaksha was fighting the Shakti armies, the sounds in the battlefield were so loud that nobody knew that Lalita's chariot was being attacked by Vishanga's armies. Anyway, back to the chariot of Lalita Devi. Arrows encircled the chariot and the demons. The goddesses and demons fought back and forth, causing chaos. The demon general Vishanga and brother of Bhandasura shot an arrow at Lalita Tripura Sundari's royal fan. Seeing this, the Nitya Devis, who were attending her, became furious. On seeing the fury on Lalita's face, the Nitya Devis eagerly asked her for permission to fight. They asked her that the Nitya Devis, Vanivasini, and the other Jwalamalini to fight, as they have light and will be able to see the demons with their light clearly. The chief of the Nitya Devis, Kameshwari, took out her bow and taunted the demons to stop. She then shot arrows angrily at the demons. Bagamala, a Nitya Devi, also shot arrows. With the help of the Nitya Devis, Vanivasini, and Jwalamalini, the entire dark battlefield was illuminated. The demons hated them now, since their bodies could now be seen and no longer hidden in darkness, because Vanivasini and Jwalamalini had the ability to shine light in darkness. Their bodies illuminated everything. The Nitya Devis easily defeated the demon armies with their arrows thanks to the light of Vanivasini and Jwalamalini. And hear how each of the 15 generals died by the Nitya Devis. At first, with her arrows, Ganeshi killed the wicked demon Madana. Bagamala tore up the demon Dirgajiva. The deities Nityaklina and Berunda killed Humbeka and Hulumalaka. Vanivasa killed Kaklasha with her sharp arrows. With her arrows, Mahavajreshwari split up Gekivahana. Shivaduti sent Pulkasa to the abode of Yama, or god of death. Basically, Shivaduti killed Pulkasa. Dvarita tore Pundraketu with her mighty arms. Kula Sundari killed Chandabahu and Kukura. Nilapataka and Vijaya, proud of their victory, made a sacrificial offering of Jambana in the battlefield. The Nitya Devi Sarva Mangalika chopped off Dikshna Shringa. The Nitya Devi Jwalamalini killed the terrible Trikantaka. Chaitra killed Chandragupta. When all of the wicked generals had been killed, Vishanga became extremely angry. And Vishanga fled the battlefield in complete anger and fear, since his armor was split by the sharp arrows from the bow of Kameshwari. He became bewildered and he fled along with the soldiers who survived. They could not kill Vishanga because Vishanga was to be killed only by Varahi's arrow. The Nitya Devis, who were proud of their victory and whose bodies were now blenched in blood oozing from their wounds made by the weapons of the demons, bowed down to goddess Sri Lalita Devi, and thus a great terrifying battle took place at night. On hearing the news, the great Lalita Tripura Sundari looked at the forms of the Nitya Devis, wounded by the weapons. She glanced at them with her merciful glance. By that mere glance, all the wounds were healed. Lalita became pleased with the Nitya Devis. Even the commander Kutilaksha fled in defeat along with his demon armies after fighting and being struck by the goddess Varahi's arrows in the battlefield. All of Kutilaksha's armies were defeated by night by Varahi herself. Upon hearing about the evil attack on Lalita's chariot made by the demon Vishanga, both Matangi and Varahi became worried. They expressed how they should have protected the chariot better and enforced security at night around her chariot. They climbed down from their respective chariots and went to the chariot of Lalita Devi and enforced security around their chariots by having the Shaktis encircle every direction. With the permission of Lalita Devi, the goddesses Matangi and Varahi took the help of the Nitya Devi, Jwalamalini, to create a fortress of fire around their campsite to protect Lalita's chariot and the army. The fortress would be protected by Stambini Devi. Seeing that Lalita and the Shaktis created a fortress of fire, Bhandasura became angry, and then he sent his 30 sons to fight Lalita Devi and defeat her. The sons of Bhandasura were Chaturbahu, Chakora Raksha, Chatushiras, Vajragosha, Urvakesha, Mahakaya, Mahahanu, Makashatru, Makaskandi, Simhagosha, Siralaka, Laduna Patasena, Purajit, Purvamaraka, Svarga Shatru, Svarga Bala, Durgakya, Svarga Kantaka, Atimaya, Brahanmaya, and the powerful Upamaya. Bhandasura ordered his sons to capture Lalita Devi alive and to be controlled by them. He then gave them 200 armies, more than the previous generals. When the sons of Bhandasura were in the battlefield, the earth trembled and the universe became frightened. The sons of Bhandasura then boasted, saying, "In the course of the battle we shall devour the armies of the Shaktis in a moment. With sharp arrows we shall reduce their weapons to powder. With violence and speed we shall suppress the fiery rampart wall. We shall quickly arrest and capture that vainly proud and foolish Lalita." Then the sons of Bhandasura ran, screamed, and roared like a noise never heard of before, as they approached the Shaktis protecting the fortress. Upon seeing the chaos, Lalita Tripura Sundari's daughter, Bala Tripura Sundari, became curious. Bala Tripura Sundari was the only daughter of Lalita Devi. She always stayed near the goddess. She was worthy of being worshipped by all of the Shaktis. She was adapted to all of the martial feats and exploits. She had great wisdom in the martial arts. Her form and features were like those of Lalita Tripura Sundari. She was always like a 9-year-old girl. She was her fourth eye. Bala Tripura Sundari became furious and thought thus, "I shall immediately kill those sons of Banda who have come here." After making up her mind, Bala Tripura Sundari then told her mother Lalita Devi this. "Mother, the sons of Banda have come to fight. I wish to fight them. I am interested in this because I am a young girl. My arms throb with an itching sensation for war. This is my playful activity. It should not be curbed by your orders of prohibition. Indeed, I am a girl loving toys and playful pastimes. By this play of fighting for a moment, I shall become delighted mentally." So basically, this beautiful young girl who's 9 years old is seeing these demons like, "Ooh, new toys for me to play with." I love her so much. This is my favorite character. Naturally, like any mother would be for her daughter, Lalita Tripura Sundari became worried for her. Lalita Devi then told Bala Tripura Sundari, "Dear child, your limbs are very tender and soft. You are only 9 years old. This is your very first performance. Your training in warfare is fresh and recent. You're my only daughter. Without you, I cannot breathe. You're my very breath. Do not go for this great war. We have goddesses like Dandini, Matrini, and so many thousands of other Shaktis for fighting. Dear child, why do you commit this blunder? But after insisting once more, Bala Tripura Sundari was allowed to fight in the battlefield. Lalita Devi gave her an armor, weapons, and a royal palanquin made from Lalita Devi's staff to be sent into the battlefield. Bala Tripura Sundari, the 9-year-old daughter of Lalita Devi, entered the royal palanquin. Seeing the young girl heading into war, Matangi and Varahi became worried. Then they bowed before the young princess, pleading for her to return back to Lalita's chariot. They said, "Why, O princess, have you actively engaged yourself in battle? Why are you suddenly dispatched to the war front by the great queen herself? When the soldiers are present and ready, this is not proper. Since you, O girl, are the personified life of Sri Devi, recede from your enthusiastic participation in war. We are making obeisance to you." The little girl, however, was stubborn and refused to back down. She wished to march forward into battle, and left with no choice, Matangi, the minister, and Varahi, the commander of Lalita, guarded the princess as the princess headed towards the battlefield. As she crossed the opening of the fire fortress, many Shaktis bowed before her as the royal palanquin passed through. Bala Tripura Sundari rushed towards the sons of Bhandasura. She had no army. Her mother's army became hers. With her arrows, she showered thousands of them on the sons of Bhandasura from her old royal palanquin. This surprised the armies of the Shaktis and the demons. Matangi and Varahi looked, but never left the princess's side. With just one arrow called the Narayana Astra, the arrow of Lord Vishnu, she destroyed the entire army of demons led by the sons of Bhandasura. The sons of Bhandasura became angry that this little girl had defeated their army. However, with 30 arrows with crescent moons shot at once, Bala Tripura Sundari easily defeated the 30 sons of Bhandasura. Every witness of this battle was extremely pleased and surprised. The daughter of the great queen Lalita Tripura Sundari, who had killed the armies of Asuras, was very joyfully embraced by Mandrini, Matangi, and Dandanata, Varahi. The Shaktis praised her performance, and many roared loudly at the little girl's victory, which excited the three worlds. Upon hearing the performance of her daughter in the battlefield, Lalita Tripura Sundari became pleased. Bhandasura is absolutely devastated and in grief that a little girl was able to defeat his 30 mighty and powerful sons. His commander Kutilaksha and his younger brothers Vishanga and Vishukra consoled him. After Vishukra tried comforting Bhandasura, Bhandasura sent his brother Vishukra into battle to use the Jaya Vighna Yantra while being invisible. The Jaya Vighna Yantra is a diagram made of triangles, squares, and many other shapes. The shape itself is said to have 8 powerful deities, 8 angles, and 8 tridents, capable of destroying armies through its powers. The translation of the Jaya Vighna Yantra means obstruction to victory. The yantra was meant to be an obstacle for enemies. Yantras, although they're supposed to be used by righteous people for good purposes, can also be used for evil. So anyway, Vishukra, Bhandasura's brother, concealed his body as he entered the battlefield. At dawn, the evil and wicked Vishukra approached the fortress of fire guarded and protected by the goddess Stambini. However, he noticed that the goddesses were always alert and ready to attack, so he devised a plan and he took a rock. He then drew the Jaya Vighna Yantra along with a mantra. He then performed the necessary worship of the yantra and threw the rock onto the camp of the Shaktis. The Shaktis all of a sudden began to lose their minds. Their weapons fell, and the Shaktis began to renounce their fighting duties. The Shaktis then said, "What is to be done by killing these Asuras? Enough of these clash of weapons with other weapons. What is the benefit achieved by this victory? Injury to living beings yields sin. Is this for the sake of the Devas? What shall befall us then? Who is our mistress and great queen? Who is this Dandanayika? Who is this Mandrini of the complexion? What then is the great benefit that is enjoyed? No purpose is served by weapons that pierce to the vital parts of the enemy. Let this war that brings about wounds in the body and loss of weapons to us come to a close. It is sure that death will befall us all in the course of battle. Our lives then become fruitless. There will surely be death in battle." What a true perception is this! There is no benefit to be obtained through enthusiasm. Even if the queen knows us to be like this, what will the queen do? Her very status as a queen has been collectively conceded. That being so, she is abandoned by us. Her strength becomes destroyed. If she is without power, what punishment can she do? Then the Shakti army began to fall asleep after being unable to understand what was going on. One after another, due to the power of the yantra, the Shaktis began to fall down and lose their minds. It was dull and empty everywhere as the Shaktis became the prey of laziness and sleep. Vishukra took advantage of the Shaktis who were now in this state of deep sleep and decided to attack and announce his presence with war drums, which still did not waken the Shaktis. The only Shaktis not affected by the Yantra's deluding powers were Matangi and Varahi. Seeing their armies sleeping, they requested Lalita Devi's help and guidance. Upon hearing their requests, Lalita Tripura Sundari looked at Kameshwara's face and smiled and laughed. From her smile emerged Lord Ganesha, the elephant-headed god who was the son of Parvati and Shiva, remover of obstacles, and the god of intelligence and prosperity. Lord Ganesh was also the creator of this yantra, but by hitting with his tusks that produced dreadful noise, Lord Ganesha reduced the yantra into powder. He then threw the powder into the air. The Shaktis who were once asleep began to awaken, and the powerful magic of the yantra was destroyed. Lord Ganesha then created thousands of elephants and soldiers ready to fight from his own body. He created the Vighna Nayakas, which were Amoda, Pramoda, Sumukha, Durmukha, Arigna, and Vignakarta. They were the presiding deities of Hirambas served by the goddess Riti. The Shaktis and the Ganapatis, the soldiers or armies of Lord Ganesha, were ready to fight Vishukra and his armies. They rushed towards each other in battle. Ganesha split the bodies of demons with his arrows and crushed them with his feet. Vishukra's armies were being squashed, destroyed, pierced with arrows and tridents, and being hit with the big belly of Ganesha. Vishukra then became angry at seeing his demon armies being defeated, so he created a Gajasura, a demon in the form of an elephant. Seeing Lord Ganesha on his mount, which was a mouse, being able to easily defeat the elephant demon, Vishukra fled the battlefield. Lord Ganesha easily defeated the Gajasura and the demon armies with the help of the armies made by him and the Shaktis. After defeating Gajasura, Lalita bestowed Ganesha the right of being worshipped before the worship of all other deities. Bhandasura, after hearing the defeat of his own commander and his own brothers, Bhandasura then sends his demon brothers Vishukra and Vishanga. This time, Vishukra had 400 armies of demon soldiers. He also had 10 nephews, who were born from the sister of Bhandasura, Dumini. These 10 nephews made the 10 directions tremble, and the battlefield felt like lightning had struck. Matangi and Varahi were ready to fight along the Shaktis. 100 armies stood by the chariot of Lalita Devi, while the rest of the Shaktis went to go fight in the battlefield with Matangi and Varahi. Matangi was in her chariot, the Giri Chakra, and Varahi was in her respective chariot, the Giri Chakra. The goddess Varahi stepped forward into the battlefield. She had her weapons at the ready, and her lotus-like face, resembling the snout of a boar, shone with the sparkling light of the moon as its crest jewel. She attacked the demons from the front. Matangi stood in the Gaya Chakra, or the Giti Chakra, following behind Varahi. Her hair was braided, and the moon shone like a tender blossom placed within it. The third eye of her forehead had the radiance of a sacred mark of saffron. Her hands resembled lotuses, which were made more beautiful with bangles studded with jewels. She was whirling an arrow drawn from the quiver. The Shaktis that were with them were described to be like flowers of pomegranate. Some were gold, some had the color of clouds, some like saffron, others pink like the batala flower, some had the radiance of diamonds, and others like emeralds. They had innumerable weapons and were ready to fight. Some rode on their chariots, some on horses, some on elephants. Regardless, the goddess Varahi fought with Vishanga, and Matangi with Vishukra. Ashvaruda powerfully fought with Ulukajit. With a great desire for fighting, Sampadisha came into clash with the demon Purushena. Nakuli challenged and came into a clash with Kuntishena. Unmata Bhairavi fought with Malada. Lagu Shyama fought with Gushura. Svapneshi fought with the demon Mangala. Bhagavadini fought with Dragana in the battle. Chandakali fought with the wicked Kolada. Vishukra, seeing that the goddesses were winning and gaining strength, released the arrow of thirst from his bow. This caused the Shaktis to become thirsty, their mouths dry, their senses weak, and their bodies filled with fatigue and fever. The demon army took advantage of their weakness and began to fly arrows at the Shaktis. Matangi and Varahi became worried at the Shakti's weak condition. Suddenly, Matangi came up with a solution. She told Varahi that in her chariot was a god named Surasindu. He was the ocean of liquor. He was golden colored and had red eyes and was dressed with garlands. On the command of Varahi, he turned it into an ocean of liquor with many colors to quench the thirst of the Shaktis. To prevent the liquor to be given to the demons, the goddess Kadambavanavasini built a huge wall to protect the Shaktis from arrows of the demons and prevent the ocean from going towards them. The ocean of liquor had many colors. Some were of pale red, some were dark colored like Indian cinnamon, some were white. The king of ocean split into many units by the wind and showered thousands of sweet currents of liquor as thick as trunks of elephants. These oceans of liquor also had different flavors, tastes, healing powers, but regardless were enough to give the Shakti strength to fight again. I also want to put a disclaimer, okay? Please do not drink if you're under the legal age. Also, please drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. This story is not encouraging anybody to drink. This is, again, a reminder that this is a story and these are goddesses. But that does not mean that this should be used as an excuse for you to drink irresponsibly. So please drink responsibly or drink until you're of legal age. But otherwise, do not drink. Okay, just wanted to put that disclaimer there. Anyway, back to the story. On achieving this great miracle, Varahi told the ocean of liquor, I am gratified, I am thankful, O ocean of liquor. A good help and assistance has been rendered by you. This is a work on behalf of the Devas, the celestial gods. It has been achieved without any obstacle. Due to my favor from now on, in the age of Dwarapa, you will be extremely worthy of being used by priests who perform sacrifices, in their sacrifices like the drinking of soma. All the deities will drink you after you have been sanctified by means of mantras in the course of sacrifice. After drinking, you purified by the mantras will let the people attain siddhi, spiritual achievement, riddhi, prosperity, strength, heavenly bliss, and salvation. All these great people will drink you. Maheshwari, Mahadeva, Baladeva, Bhargava, Dattatreya, Vitti, and Vishnu. On being worshipped in the course of sacrifice, you will bestow all kinds of siddhis. The Shaktis fought against the demons, and the Shakti army, despite being drunk, along with Varahi and Matangi, defeated the demon armies. The goddesses Sampatkari and Turaga Rohini defeated the nephews of Bhandasura. By this time, the entire demon armies had been defeated. Matangi then fights with the demon Vishukra. One by one, she cuts off his weapons. She then summons the Brahmastra, an arrow of Lord Brahma, which then defeats Vishukra and turns him into dust. Varahi fights with Vishanga. They fought with maces until it was nighttime. She then dragged him with a plow and hit his head with an iron club. After being hit by Varahi, Vishanga's body broke into 100 pieces and was later defeated.